Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Interview with an Investor. I'm Tim Johnston, Managing Director of Apollo Capital, and this series, what we try to do is provide some insights on from some of the investors in our fund. Very interesting story today. We're very happy to be joined by Adam Newton. Hello, Adam.
Hi, Tim. How are you, mate?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. So today we've just got a couple of questions. I'm sure our listeners and our audience will be very interested in hearing about your background, your investment in Apollo, and how you think about investing in crypto assets within the broader portfolio. So let me just bring up the first question. Adam, if you could just provide a bit of background on yourself as an investor, both professionally and personally.
Yeah, sure. So I guess straight out of school, got into event management and had a lot of fun doing that. We were kind of focused on motorsport, but my parents were like, well, hang on, we gave you a good education. I think you should really go to uni. And I said, oh, probably a good idea. So I went and studied commerce and then accounting and finance, and came out of there and went into corporate advisory for a short stint, and that was great. And we did kind of small to medium enterprise capital restructuring and some mergers and acquisitions, and a little bit of stuff on public markets. So that was good fun. And then after that, kind of started working, I guess in a family office capacity. And so much of what I do today is really kind of capital allocation across public markets, property, direct private investment, and things of that nature.
Excellent. And how did you first come about crypto assets? And what was your response when you first learned about Bitcoin and other crypto assets?
Yeah, sure thing. So I think there was a stage where I might have heard of Bitcoin, didn't really understand it, didn't really kind of cast my mind to its overall value proposition. I loosely knew it as potentially, just potentially a virtual form of money. Didn't really think that through too much. And I think I was operating like a mining program on my laptop. And I think the price of Bitcoin at the time was, in the tens of dollars. And I might have mined, in the space of a few hours that I was running this strange application, maybe 1 or 2 Bitcoin, and subsequently threw that laptop out. Silly thing. And then didn't even think about Bitcoin for a long time. And then it popped up on my radar again. I think, maybe it had gone to a couple of $100. And I thought, oh, well, let's have a look at this again. And so I tried to find out a little bit more about it, how to participate in Australia. It was incredibly difficult. So I thought, okay, well, let's deal with, some of the most trusted people in the space. There's this company called Mt. Gox. Yeah, let's buy through them. It was a real process, transferring money overseas, and it was tricky. And then Mt. Gox, one of the biggest kind of failure stories in the space. And so, I didn't have a lot of exposure, but it had to write that off. And so that was a couple of sleepless nights. And there's still this ongoing recovery process there. So we'll see how that goes. And then again, parked Bitcoin, didn't even think about it, didn't look for any further exposure, got a bit burnt by it, obviously. And then was talking to a very close friend of mine who was, in San Francisco at the time, immersed in kind of everything tech. And he was telling me some stories about his friends and how they're participating in the space, and hearing about some of these returns that these guys are getting. And this was basically 2017. So you've got this ICO boom going on, and Bitcoin boom as well. And so I'm like, okay, well, let's have another look at this, because this sounds interesting. And so that was really when I started to give it a lot more thought at a different stage in life, with I guess a little bit more of a clearer lens on maybe how to frame this stuff. And so that was it from 2017. Really been kind of participating in a different way. Probably wasn't a great time to get into things, because it was a nice journey up and a rapid journey down. So when things kind of popped to early 2018, but at that point, I was pretty immersed from an information kind of perspective and an education perspective.
Right, fascinating. I wasn't aware of the Mt. Gox story, but it sounds like you started from the hobbyists back in the early days, had different levels of engagement with crypto assets over time, but you've always followed it and always been interested in the space and had, I guess, various degrees of involvement over the years.
Yeah, I think just I find tech interesting, and so I think it was that the fact that it was in this space that it just kind of gained some interest, and then it's evolved and required, I guess, some further kind of bandwidth being applied to it to figure out what it's all about.
And you've been a long-term investor in the funds. Why are you bullish on crypto assets?
Yeah. Good question. And so for me, when you're looking at capital allocation, it's you're always balancing this kind of risk reward type environment, and so it's been trying to, I guess, frame what opportunity crypto presents. And for me, I see it as a shift in the way in which we use the internet and networks, and so for me, I see the opportunity as really exponential and requires some kind of exposure to that, and then over time, I think these things tend to be getting more and more validated, and so it's changing my conviction to the space as well. So it's I think that's generally what it is. Just this asymmetric return profile and exponential growth opportunity, and really a evolution of the way in which we embrace and use technology. So that's my drivers in the space.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I've heard that before. The digitization of everything.
Yeah.
Everything can be digital, and it makes sense to have native crypto assets that are natively digital, as opposed to others which are overlaid onto a digital infrastructure.
Sure.
So, yeah, it's quite interesting. And so, what percentage of your investment portfolio is allocated to crypto assets, and how do you think about crypto assets within the broader portfolio?
Yeah, sure. So, the funny thing about crypto is your overall portfolio weighting changes depending on the volatility of the day. So that's always exciting. But I think when I first participated, it was always from a position of some participation, not all. There was Mike Novogratz at the time saying everyone should have 1% in Bitcoin of their portfolio. And, I think back in 2017, a 1 to 5% allocation to crypto was a huge step psychologically for me. And then, you go on this journey, and it's certainly been a journey of peaks and troughs, but with an overall, upward trajectory. And so, that's kind of changed my comfort level and conviction in the space too, as these various things get validated within the space, and you see how the space is evolving. So, that weighting, which was originally, I guess in the single digits, is now a fair bit higher for me based on my comfort level within the space.
Interesting. Yeah, that's fascinating. Thank you. Thanks, Adam, for talking about that. And so you've talked about your various levels of interest in crypto. You've tried it yourself, which obviously we believe there's a lot of advantages to investing in a fund, but we also do advocate that people go and buy some themselves, and that immersion that we talked about. What led you to invest in Apollo Capital and think about investing in a fund?
Yeah. So, there was this point in 2017, 2018, it still exists today to some extent, but where, I would have 50 browser tabs open every morning just to get the news flow from overnight and try and stay across this, quickly evolving space. And it was very similar to when, COVID first came in, and, there's so much information flow happening from all parts of the globe, and you're trying to kind of put it all into perspective. And that was very much 2017, 2018 for me, where huge amount of information. You've got scams getting run left, right, and center. never have I had to kind of go into a space and spend so much time trying to identify if this is legitimate, and whether all of the people that are on the team actually even exist. And it was crazy. So it was taking up a huge amount of bandwidth to stay across things. And it was becoming incredibly distracting to other parts of what I do. And so, a part of what I was trying to identify is who are some people in the space that I can trust, that have a high capability, that are taking a good approach to the space, not 100% Bitcoin and not 100%, various other projects, and so many different facets as well. How do you get exposure to those facets, whether it's DeFi, whether it's protocol layer stuff, whether it's blockchain gaming, whether it's NFTs, who's taking a nice, I guess what you'd say, balanced and diversified approach. And Apollo really stood out. They're Australian based and Melbourne based, which is great. And they've got some kind of Wall Street experience there, so they're aware of the importance of capital preservation and managing risk. And so they were big kind of drivers in my decision making. That's continued to be kind of validated too throughout, I guess, Apollo's history to date. What has stood out to me is not only the fact that you guys have taken a balanced and diversified view of the space, but picked such quality projects, which is very hard to do in this space when you think of the thousands and thousands of projects that are in the space, and so many more to come online. Not only have you guys picked quality projects that have performed exceptionally well, you've also de-risked your entry positions by getting in at such a good price and on such good terms. And that to me is incredibly valuable. Quality projects getting in at the right price, and I guess your results of late have speak for themselves.
Great. Thank you, Adam. Thanks for the context. Great. We'll wrap it up there. I very much appreciate your insights and being a supporter, an early investor in the fund. And it's been a long journey. I really like your answer about what percentage of your portfolio is allocated to crypto, and that varies from day to day. It is highly volatile, as we know. It's a very honest answer. And yeah, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.